Welcome to Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne. I am Lori Anne Casdia. Our goal here at Healthy Lifestyle is to inspire, educate, and empower you to fulfill a healthy, emotional, spiritual, and physical life so you can be empowered to live the life you have always wanted and dreamed. I'm so happy to be here with you today. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. I know I am. And we have the great, wonderful Vince Perrotta.
Hello, my friend.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Our N2 bunch has our little bunch circle.
We're back to N1.
We're like N1 plus. I got a +1 here happening. And then, you know what? You know who's on today?
I know. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah. We enjoy having her on.
She's amazing.
Isn't she?
Yeah.
I met her actually in Kansas City. I was there for an event, a convention, and I went down and sat at the bar at the hotel, and I meet this extraordinary woman who is making me laugh, who just has a repartee back and forth. And you know how we are. It was like you behind the bar in a female version, and just coming back and forth. She's singing behind the bar, and she's creating these amazing
having
cocktails.
Having a great time, making other people happy.
Yeah. And that's something that I adore about her, is that it's all about servicing other people. And we talk about how that's what we're supposed to do, right? Service other people.
Make others happy.
Yeah, exactly. So, yes, in fact, we want to welcome to the show Courtney Crocket, the traveling cocktailian. How are you today, Courtney?
I am so well. Thank you for such an amazing introduction. I'm kind of getting all teary-eyed over here.
Oh, girl, you were amazing. Remember when we were singing at the top of our lungs at the bar and the couple on the side was none too pleased?
Well, I feel like sometimes people they don't know that they have permission to be silly until you let them know that they have permission to be silly.
I didn't know I was supposed to get permission.
It's all those grown up people.
Obviously, we don't need permission to be silly. We're silly whenever we want, but I think sometimes people feel like they're not allowed to until they see other people having a good time, and then they're like, "Oh, we can do that."
Yeah, we broke them down that day, right? We broke them down. They started to sing, and we started to sing along, and we included them, and we all stopped until they sang. So they had no choice.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's also one of those things where it's like, I know you think you don't want to sing all of the words to Don't Stop Believin', but we're going to sing all of the words to Don't Stop Believin' right now.
I think if recollection serves me right, you were the only one who knew all the words to Don't Stop Believing.
That could very well be true.
Facts aside.
Facts aside. There you go. So today we are speaking about ABV. So help us out here, because Vince looking at me like,
Sure.
What you talking about, Willis? What is ABV and why is it important?
So ABV stands for your alcohol by volume. So anytime you look on the side of a bottle, whether it be a wine bottle or a beer bottle or like our little seltzer cans now, spirits, you're going to see a number and then you're going to see ABV after that. So that just means by volume. So it's essentially what your proof is. In whatever you're drinking. So
in Vince's term, it's how many drinks?
Well, she said the proof. Sure. The proof is that I'm staggering or I'm stuttering.
Right, the proof is that he's still standing.
Right.
And the reason I wanted to talk about that today, especially kind of in jest, like we were just doing, with it becoming warmer outside, with it getting summertime, people are spending more time around the pool, they're spending more time outside on their patios. And I wanted to introduce some people to some options. So it doesn't just have to be gin and tonics. It doesn't have to just be, LITs. It can be a number of different things that you can enjoy with your friends where you can drink and have a good time, but not have to run the risk of dehydration, not have to run the risk of, really bad headaches. The sun on top of alcohol can be very dangerous when you're not watching out and being careful and staying hydrated the way that you need to. So I wanted to talk about some lower ABV cocktails that can be fun to make when you're doing brunch around the pool, or if you're doing, just brunch outside in general. Anyone who wants to spend some time outside and just enjoy this beautiful summer weather that we're entering into.
Yeah. So what is it? You mentioned LIPs, right? Do you hear that too, Vince?
Oh, LITs. I'm sorry. Long Island Iced Teas.
Oh, Long Island. You got got to stop talking in initials. I don't know what you're talking about. It's like talking to my Air Force brother. I'm like, okay, I need like a code book or something. It's just.
They also call it truth serum.
So I think a lot of us think of, when we think about being on the patio, we think of things like that, like what we consider to be like, refreshing drinks or fruity drinks or whatever the case may be. But what we don't realize is that when we're adding those juices and we're adding those higher ABV spirits, that's what really gets us in trouble because they're super easy to drink. You don't have a tendency to feel like you are thirsty, even though you are slowly dehydrating your body. And secondly, or I think more importantly than anything when you're dealing with those, is that you are drinking more than you are anticipating because it is hotter outside. You're not replacing those fluids appropriately. You just keep drinking whatever it is that's in the pitcher, right? Whether it's margaritas or sangria or whatever.
Well, yes.
So, obviously. So an easy way to keep those things that you enjoy, but maybe lighten them up a little bit so that you're not overextending yourself the way that we have a tendency to do when we're in large groups, and especially with it being summertime, we want to be very social and we want to hang out. So I wanted to talk about some lower alcohol cocktails today that you can make in batches, that you can make individually, that you can maybe some that people haven't even heard of before, introduce them to some new things.
I like batches.
Yeah, batches are always a good time.
And see, the thing that I'm thinking about, I'm sorry. What I was thinking,
go ahead.
I was thinking a little bit about, so if I'm out and I'm having a great time on a summer afternoon, you do want to keep drinking all day and you want to enjoy yourself, especially if you can do the batch thing because everybody's joining in. So how do I manage that? What are the benefits of that at, ABV, and in a practical way, how do I do it when I'm at a bar having a good time with friends?
So when you're at a bar having a good time with friends, Sunday afternoons, we as bartenders in Kansas City, we call them our Sunday fun days. So a lot of times we would get up and go out, in the afternoon and have some cocktails. So one of the things I like to introduce people to are aperitifs and digestives. So an aperitif is something that typically you would have before dinner to kind of get your salivation going, but they also serve in a lot of different capacities. So one of my favorite drinks to make somebody is called an Aperol Spritz.
Oh, those are good.
It's a perfect, for me, it's a perfect cocktail. It really is one of my absolute favorite cocktails. And I love making it for people who've never had one because it is so refreshing. It's so light. It's so drinkable. You can have one or possibly two, and you don't feel like that's going to be the end of your day.
Right.
You can continue to go out and have fun with your friends and not feel that. We all know that feeling like when you have a couple of drinks too quick or you have more drinks than you anticipated and you kind of have this almost like this lethargic feeling until it starts to metabolize.
Sure, yeah.
That sounds like my favorite drink. They call it the next one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'd like the next one, please.
That's my favorite drink to make is the next one.
So are there rules, what should I really think about? Because I know when you're out drinking, the thing there's all kinds of folklore that they say, you should only drink this on a hot day, or don't mix,
or drink a beer before a cocktail, or never drink, wine after you drink. What are those rules, or are they all myths?
So they're all myths, honestly. It's the way that your body breaks down the sugars that exists. And so when I tell people all the time, they'll say, I can't drink whiskey and then drink tequila. And I'm like, well, it probably has more to do with what you're mixing with those spirits than the spirits themselves. I can tell you from personal experience, I've drank pretty much every kind of spirit you can imagine within the course of an evening. And
you go, girl.
Working.
We're high-fiving here in the studio.
It sounds a lot more glamorous than it actually is. But when when I'm out on the road and I'm doing events or I'm doing cocktail weeks or something like that, you have to be in that moment. You have to be in that situation, but you also have to remain professional. So you have to make certain choices. And when I say professional, not only are you holding yourself accountable for that evening, but a lot of times we have really early calls the next morning where you have to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning to start getting stuff going for that day.
Ooh, that's harsh.
So if you don't go to bed until 3 o'clock in the morning and you're getting up at 7, chances are you're not going to be pounding a lot of, like sugary shots, because that's going to weigh very heavily on the way your body feels, the way it metabolizes that sugar. So when I talk about doing lower ABV cocktails, like if you stick to things that are like anything under 20 ABV, like around 13, a lot of your aperitifs, digestifs will come in around there. A lot of people don't realize this, but vermouth. There are so many beautiful, delicious vermouths out there that you can put into cocktail format, and it is just a complete game changer.
So
if anyone likes Negroni, like there's a rosé Negroni that you can make that is just stunning.
Oh, you need to share that rosé Negroni recipe with us so we could share it with the listeners.
And that's one of those things that you can batch up, that you can keep in the fridge, and then just top off with some sparkling rosé. And it's so refreshing and so delicious, and everyone's going to like it. And you can drink it around the pool, and no one's going to get to the point to where you're going to have to be like, okay, they're never invited back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I actually drink a martini with vermouth in it. But the only stipulation for me is all they do is wave the vermouth bottle by my martini. Sure. They don't put any in my martini. That's I've always drank my martinis that way, very straight up.
Shaken, not stirred.
And depending on what kind of spirit you're using too. I think a lot of times people equate vermouth with that bottle that would set out on your grandmother's bar for decades. And then you taste it, or you put it in a drink, and it would ruin the drink.
Yeah.
And rightly so. Vermouths are fortified wines. There is a fortification. However,
what does that mean, fortified?
So fortified just means that it's got like some extra sugar in it. So it's going to give it a little bit more of a shelf life, of a preservation. But it's not completely going to last forever. In fact, anytime you open a vermouth, regardless of whether it's a red or a white, once it's been opened, you should probably keep it refrigerated unless you're planning on going through it within the next few days. That will maintain it a little bit longer, but it begins to break down. It begins to turn to vinegar, just like any other wine would. It may take a little longer than your Cabernet on the counter, but it's not going to take that much longer. It's going to eventually break down, and it's going to ruin the flavor of your cocktail. So
vermouth.
Reference. Anybody who wants vermouth, make sure you put it in the fridge.
Put it in the fridge. I like it. So you had mentioned like the Argentine and the Americano. What are those?
Mm-hmm. So the Argentine actually is very, very straightforward, very simple. It's probably one of the most popular cocktails in Argentina. It's Fernet Branca, which is an Italian digestif.
Yes.
Fernet is fantastic. And then you mix it with Mexican Coke, like real sugar Coke and fresh mint. And it is so refreshing and so delicious. It's one of those things that you're never going to be sorry getting one of those on a patio. I tend to think of those a little bit more like in later afternoon, early evening cocktails if I'm sitting outside. Just because of the Coke. I don't tend to drink a lot of soda pop, but that drink I will have, I will definitely do with real Coke. Not
Vince,
yes.
Did you hear what she just called soda?
Yes.
It's a Midwestern turn, soda pop.
I thought I was the only one picked up on that.
No, I saw you smile. He looked at me and he was like, pop. She said pop. We're five in the studio.
Yeah, I would say pop is definitely where I grew up, but soda only applies to like club soda. Like usually when I was growing up, that's what we call soda is club soda. Everything else was a pop. But at least I don't call everything a Coke, even if it's a Pepsi.
I gotcha. I won't be calling anything that name anymore. So,
I did have a question though. You were talking about vermouths before, and if you think about it, I've heard the expression that they're kind of for a summer patio. They're like a best friend.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts about that? I mean, are there different types, different varietals of that?
Oh, so many varietals. Like it's kind of
did not know that.
It really runs the gamut, absolutely. I mean, even as something as simple as what you would think of as a sweet vermouth, you can go, and those depths can be, like any other red wine. You can have something that's like a kind of a sweeter red table wine as opposed to a really complex, deep, dark,
like when you make an old fashioned and you're adding a little vermouth.
Manhattan, yeah.
Yep.
And sherry.
Sherry.
It's not just for dinner anymore, right?
On the planet, no, it's not. Sherry is one of those drinks that I feel like has probably in the last, I would say 10 to 15 years, has really started to make a comeback, and rightly so. Again, the types of sherry that are available, the standards in which they have to be met in order to be brought to market is just mind-boggling. It's actually one of my life goals is to go to Spain and learn everything I can learn about sherry from the source, because I love it so much. And it was something that was introduced to me when I got back behind the bar as a alternative to being in the hospitality industry. A lot of times your guests want to buy you a shot or take a shot with you. And we had this very long ongoing debate for a while about whether that was appropriate, because technically we're working and we have to be responsible for other people. And it's not really professional to get sloppy and sloshed behind the bar. I personally don't enjoy that.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy that anymore either.
Yeah, so sherry.
Wait, hold on for a second, Courtney. What are you talking about?
Sometimes you drink a little too much, you end up behind the bar.
Yeah.
That can happen.
Yeah, and they say get out from behind the bar, and you...
Or I would say in Vince's case, probably on top of the bar.
Well, I was just going to say, I have found him on top of the bar and singing with the band.
Yes, it's better than being under the bar, because then the cops usually ask you to... It's a whole thing, I know.
It is very good.
Now there's...
So could you please remove him from our...
Remove is a strong word, but one that's been used not infrequently.
Score him out.
Now, to get off of me for a moment, because really I'm not that interesting and this is getting bad. But you actually, I think you've been doing some experimentation and you've created a drink that's, pretty exciting. And
well, Lane, talk about Lane.
Okay, so I found this cocktail when I was doing some research to kind of see what was going on, and honestly, it just really, really caught my attention. It was created by this girl named Lane Harlan out of Baltimore. She works for Clavel Mezcaleria. Let's see if I can actually get my tongue to work.
I hear you, girl. That happens to me too.
Mezcaleria. So Mezcaleria. So it's actually out of Baltimore.
Are you allowed to say that to us?
The password is Mezcaleria.
Just write down. So if you guys, all kidding aside, if you haven't been and checked out the scene in Baltimore recently, you should. There's a lot of really amazing things going on there, food and drink wise, and there's some really great people working in that area right now. And she's one of she basically, what I looked at was it looks like she took it was like a twist on a National, which is a classic cocktail, but she replaces the higher ABV spirit with Oloroso sherry, lime juice, fresh pineapple juice, and sparkling wine. And I am telling you, when I read that, my mouth started watering, and I immediately was like, okay, adding that to the cocktails that I need to be making and introducing people to.
So is that a recipe that you could share with us? Tell us a little about? I
don't have her actual specs. Okay. I can get them from her probably if she wants to share them, but I would say that I could probably come up with something similar. It wouldn't be exactly their recipe, but it's definitely something that I could put together for you guys if people are interested in trying it. I personally think that anytime you can find ways to utilize sherry into your cocktails, you should. Like I said, I don't know that people are drinking it as readily as they should, because it has really become one of those things that I don't think I could have a bar if I didn't have at least 2 sherries on hand. And
since you said that, I'm just curious. I know that you're writing a book. are you looking at that? What kinds of things are you talking about in the book?
Before we get into the writing book, because I think we can talk about that in the second half, and thank you for saying that. You're also traveling around the country while you're writing this book, as I understand it. And I want to get into it because in the second half of this show, because you're also adding an element that's new to the drinks, but give it a bunch of different properties and advantages. So I'm going to kind of be a little bit mysterious. That's my version of mysterious, Vince. What do you think?
I'm impressed.
Okay, thanks. You are listening to Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne. We are here with Vince Perrotta. We also have Courtney Crocket, who's calling in from we don't know where in the United States, but she'll let us know in the second half. And we're going to jump into and talk about the book she's writing, the special properties that she's adding to her drinks, and her trip around the United States. We will be right back. Well, welcome back to Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne. I am Lori Anne, and we are here with the great, fabulous, wonderful Vince Perrotta. And we have Courtney Crocket. It's actually Courtney Boom Boom Crocket, if you want to get technical, our traveling cocktailian. And we were just talking about all kinds of ABVs and different summer drinks. And Courtney's going to be so wonderful and magnanimous and share the recipes to a Rosé Negroni and also the National. But that Lane Harlan has put together. She can grab hold of that recipe, which if I know Courtney, she will. But Courtney, Vince asked a question about a book that you're writing, but I want to start off with the new products that you're utilizing when you're making and designing and crafting your drinks.
Yeah, so I'm actually very excited about this.
Me too.
Looking at, as something you and I have discussed at length, we're always looking to see how we can improve things, help people with their, improve their lifestyle, improve upon themselves with any knowledge that we have. And so, luckily, I've been introduced to a really great line of essential oils that are. A lot of people hear essential oils and they think automatically, like putting a diffuser in the house and making things smell good, which is definitely something that they do. But the thing that
and they do smell nice.
And they do smell nice. And the thing that excites me so much about these is that these are actually edible. We can put them into cocktails. And one of the things that I've been looking at throughout my career is not only creating really delicious cocktails and creative cocktails, but how to bring about a better drink so that it's not just, we're going to go out to the bar tonight and see how many we can slam, but I want to see exactly like what these components are, why it's something I like, and educate individuals on the, the healthy aspects of liquor. You don't really think about it as far as spirits go, but when you boil it down to it, like everything started off kind of as a medicine in a medicinal way. And if you utilize them properly, I think you can also continue to maintain that healthy lifestyle that you're living and not deny yourself the things that you enjoy. So this is an opportunity to kind of tie both of those things together so that you're maintaining that healthy lifestyle, that you don't feel that you are denying yourself anything. And then the next morning when you wake up after having a good time with your friends and your peers, you don't want someone to smother you with a pillow because you're so hungover and you can't get up and do anything. We want to avoid that.
Yeah, that's a good thing to avoid. I like that. No, that's absolutely brilliant, and I love that you're crafting all of these cocktails. But you're not only doing that; you're traveling around the United States, going from town to town, state to state, bar to bar, to really introduce different crafted, personalized cocktails. Talk to us about your travels and where you're headed, what you've done so far.
Sure. So right now, I am actually outside of New Orleans.
That's where she is.
Nolans.
Yes. I feel like you if you can't find me, there's a good chance you'd find me here.
I'm not surprised, Courtney.
I would say check in New Orleans, and chances are you'll find me and run into me. So I'm down here doing an event that's a little bit different. I'm not going to speak to that, but this is kind of gearing me up for my next big leg of travel. So here in a couple of weeks, I'll actually be going up to Rochester. This will be my 4th year going up there to be a spirits judge.
Yes.
In an international spirits competition that's been taking place. And I look forward to it every single year. And
what kind of spirits?
It runs the gamut. It's all over. So it is, people will, they'll submit their spirit to the competition to be judged. There's usually about 10 of us on the spirit side, and then there's also a huge wine side where people from all over the world come in as judges and judge wines from all over the world. Like, it's a really amazing event.
That sounds cool.
It's fantastic, and I'll send you guys the link so we can put it in on the page as well for anyone who's interested in knowing more about it. All where the proceeds go and all of that stuff, because it's such an amazing, worthwhile event. And I'm so fortunate and honored to get to do that. So once that's done, I will start my actual travel. I'm doing both coasts. So I'm starting on the west side, because I've actually never been to California.
Wow.
I know it sounds crazy, but I've never been to California, and I have a lot of people who I have been really wanting to see out there. And now that things are beginning to open back up, the one thing I want to focus on and see what's happening is how that's going to look in this industry. Hospitality, I feel like, is kind of a dying art form. And I know that there are those of us who really look at this as our vocation, as our calling in life. And I want to talk to some of those people and see what that looks like as far as navigating for our guests and creating the best experience for our guests now that we're moving into this kind of like a new stride when it comes to this industry.
Yeah, you need to talk to my son Nicholas, who's a sommelier. He works in the city.
I've been meaning to talk to Nicholas for like 2 years now, I feel like, and we just keep missing each other. I'm afraid. I'm honestly afraid that if Nicholas and I got on the phone together, it'd be like 3 days later, and we'd be like, okay, we've got to get off the phone and get some stuff done.
No doubt you probably will. But when you come up to, I know you have a leg that's coming up into New York around Labor Day with some launches that we're going to do together. You and I are doing together. And that's when I think you really should sit down with him, because, again, very like-minded, hospitality is really his calling as well. And also the standard of care, if you will, is really important to him as well. So I think the two of you will be like two peas in a pod.
I can't wait to meet him. No, I think that sounds fantastic. And in this opportunity that I've been given, to where I actually have the time and the wherewithal to put this trip together. Right. One of the things that I do want to talk about, I feel like, not to get too off on a tangent, but when everything closed down, it was there was no second guessing that our industry was. I mean, we were the first industry to be completely shut down. Obviously for social reasons, but we were also the industry that's been closed the longest out of everything. And that's led me to wonder why, considering, so many millions of Americans work in some facet of the hospitality industry, why it was so easy to keep that shut down. And I think that it has a lot to do with the perception of what it is we actually do for a living. I think for a long time people have thought, bartenders, all they do is drink and have fun, and which, don't get me wrong, that's definitely a part of the job. But so many of us that I know and that I've had the opportunity to spend time with and learn from mentors and leaders in this industry, we've worked very hard and fought very hard over the last, I would say, decade to bring about some legitimacy to our trade. and look at it as a vocation. So I'm hoping that if we can kind of tie some more things together where it's not just going out and getting drunk, but okay, here's a way for us to create something, artistically and bring it to our guest base while still keeping their well-being and their health in mind, then maybe we can start to change that perception a little bit.
Yeah, nice. That's outstanding. And I understand the book, that the first edition of the 4-edition book series called Vitality Cocktails is coming out at the end of this month, correct?
Yes, absolutely. And it'll be kind of our little showcase. It'll be smaller, but then hopefully, depending on what the response is, I would really like to do something seasonally. So when we talked about the 4 cocktail books, it's really more, those of us in this industry were very apt to create and put out cocktail menus on a seasonal basis, because you want to utilize, especially what we're talking about, you're wanting to utilize the freshest ingredients possible. You're wanting to make sure that you're not, over harvesting things and putting any undue stress on your environment and onto your body. There are certain things that you shouldn't be eating in the wintertime. That's why there's summer foods.
Right.
Vice versa. It provides a nutritional value to your body to have certain ingredients. So we try to utilize those as much as we can in our seasonal cocktail menus, and that's what I want to do with the book. Is the one coming out in July will be summer cocktails, and I'm hoping to include some of these lower ABV cocktails on there as well, so that people can have something to sip around the pool without feeling too bogged down. And then as fall draws near, you're changing up with your flavor profiles. You start to crave different things, so I'm looking to expand that into.
Well, that's when we start to go into
some of those.
That's when we start to go into hibernation. So we're looking for different types of, and I think that's the elegance of, I'm paralleling it a little bit with food, where you see food has taken on not just the flavor, but it's the presentation, and it's kind of the elegance of the meal, right? You don't just eat until you're exploding. You eat for pleasure and the enjoyment of the different flavors. And I think in a lot of ways what you're expressing is kind of the evolution of your industry to that same thing, more of an appreciation for the and I'm probably not going to do this justice, but the mixture, the compilation to give you that experience from your drink as well as your food.
It's really a science. Absolutely. There's a balance to it, and that's why we call it crafting a drink, because you have to have the right balance, and you have to have the right sweetness to sour to tart to savory, right. And depending on what kind of food comes out during that time depends on how they pair those drinks. So I know in speaking to you, Courtney, that I've learned a lot about what things I should be looking for, what things I should probably avoid during different times of the year, just for that reason that you were speaking to, Vince.
Absolutely. And that's something too that we, I think in this industry, when I say this industry, I'm not just talking about behind the bar. I'm talking about hospitality, restaurant, food, wine, all of that is tied into that. Our goal is to create the best possible experience that we can for our guest base, regardless of where that's at. That's another reason why I love to travel so much, and why I'm very looking forward to getting on the road and going to some places I haven't had a chance to visit before, is because what that environment looks like, say, in New Orleans, is going to be much different than the way that it looks in Rochester, and much different than the way it looks in Portland, and much different than the way it looks, in Long Island. Like, there's going to be a lot of variances. There's going to be a lot of similarities as well. But in order to bring about the best possible experience you can for your guest base, you kind of have to be able to step out of your comfort zone, and you have to be able to open yourself up to different communities and see what's happening if you want to stay atop trends.
Well, you're challenging conventional thinking, right? Because otherwise, if it's the same thing at all times in all places, then there's no nuance or excitement to it.
Well, I've been told that everybody wants their cheers, right? But that's a little different to everybody too. So you have to be able to create that. It's almost like it's not cheers isn't a space. Cheers is the experience itself, and that's going to look different from guest to guest.
Yeah, without a doubt, because your cheers may be different than my cheers. And, well, I know Vince and my cheers is the same.
It's true. When you think about the book and the way you're starting to kind of organize your thoughts around what you're hoping to accomplish, I mean, does the book take a look at kind of the different spirits? How is it kind of partitions to, like, someone like myself can get a sense of, what the choices are and the different experiences?
So, like, if you prefer, like, gins to scotch to bourbons to ryes to vodka to tequila, yay. Too much.
No, keep going.
I'll take E, all of the above, please. And no, absolutely. So the idea behind the way that I want the way that the book is going to be, I guess, presented, if you will. It will be by category. You're gonna be able to look if you're a gin drinker, you can flip to the gin section if you want to. What I'm really hoping to do though is, I really want to, again, like we were talking about earlier, giving people permission to be silly. I also want to give people permission to step out of their comfort zone. And so one of the things I like to do is I'm like, oh, okay, you like this kind of cocktail. Very cool. Have you tried this cocktail with this spirit instead of this one? And most people are like, ooh, I would have never even thought about doing that. And I'm like, well, let's see how it works. Yeah. And let's see if it's something that you can get behind.
Yeah.
Because, like you were talking about, if you're wanting to bring about an overall experience to your guest base, it's really important for them to trust you. And in order for them to trust you, you have to kind of know what you're talking about so that you can guide them. No one's going to just follow someone into a dark cave if they don't feel that they know how to navigate the cave.
I saw that in a movie. That doesn't end well.
It doesn't end well. That's why do not go spelunking.
Hide behind the chainsaw saws.
Exactly.
I love that commercial.
I do too. Because, that's something that I've run into so many times. Like, I never have a problem making anybody what they want to drink. If you are legitimate.
Can you say that again, please?
I said I never have a problem making anyone anything they want to drink. If you are legitimately...
I know, she's our people, Vince. She's our people. He's crying. All right.
Sorry, that was a moment for me. I don't know.
No, that's just about it. I tell people all the time, they'll ask me, what's your favorite drink to make? And my response has been the same since I started. Whatever you're having. That's legitimately the approach that we should be having behind the bar. Now, of course, if I create a beautiful cocktail menu, I want you to try the cocktails. But I want you to feel comfortable and confident trying the cocktails. And if I can't make you feel that way, then you're going to just drink something easy and something safe.
But I think when people see those menus, they're excited to try that. I was at a bar in London one time, and it had this really novel way that you spun this tree, and it literally had every cocktail that they made. It was incredible. And so part of it is, when you make the extension like you are to...
You weren't spinning the tree. You were falling down.
All right, the tree was standing still. It might have been me. Something was spinning. Lori Anne gets tied up in the facts. But it's kind of the opportunity. You see that menu and you're like, hey, this looks really cool. I want to try this. That's kind of it's the thing that you have the experience. It's the way to make it fun and exciting versus, like you said, the thing that you always have.
Yeah. And in our last few minutes, what last thoughts that you have, Courtney?
My last thoughts, for today anyway.
Yeah, for today, not forever.
Yeah.
That's just harsh.
I was like, we're going to do this again next month.
Yes, we are. Actually, next month we'll talk about the book.
So my last thoughts for today is, like I said, just it's kind of a broken record. Now that things are starting to open back up, I really just urge everyone to, as comfortable as they are, getting out and getting back into their communities and starting to support their local bars and restaurants again. That's still super, super important. There is still a huge struggle going on right now with us, trying to get back to some semblance of normalcy. So if people are able to do that, I highly recommend it. I also highly recommend just getting together and spending some time together.
Yes.
If you haven't hugged someone in a while, give them a hug, like legit.
Okay, Vince, not right now.
I mean, when it's appropriate, Vince, don't just walk up to strangers without consent and hug them.
I was doing that on the way to the station. Again, the cop said I had to stop.
But just, I mean, I think that's the most important thing is to, you know, we have such a need to be with each other and to be around one another. And I think, you know, if we've learned anything over the last 18 months, is that need has been greater than ever. So yeah, just try to get back out there and start slowly but surely reintroducing these things back into your life. And I seriously hope that if you do that, then I'll see you out when I'm at some of these places when I hit the road next month. Yeah.
I love it. That's great. And I'd love to do a live from Rochester with you. And then, of course, bring you back next month. Maybe you'll be number one on Amazon with our Vitality Cocktails book. Vince, any last thoughts?
No, just Courtney, always a pleasure. You just have so many great ideas. I can't wait to see the book.
Oh, thank you, Vince. I appreciate you guys. Really, it's always a highlight of my month. I love sitting down and talking with you and getting a chance to share getting a chance to dork out on my passion, and hopefully other people get a little bit of information out of it.
We love you, man. No, thank you so much, Courtney. Oh, no. Thank you all so much for joining us today on Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne. Our hearts are always uplifted by sharing this time with you. I hope you learned a lot. Again, reach out, see if you can look on Amazon for the Vitality Cocktails. Should be coming your way really soon. In the meantime, I want to thank you again for joining us on Healthy Lifestyle. I am Lori Anne Casdia. Until next time, play a higher role, serve a higher purpose, show up for you. And Vince?
Always there for you.
Yeah, show up big. You got it.